So this was a big week for the city's small businesses. At least that's the hope. The announcement by the mayor, Valerie Plante, that there will be extra money being made available, $38 million if I recall, and that'll be made available through an organization called the PME to a variety of Montreal small businesses. And the mayor, by the way, went out of her way to suggest, by the way, that includes mom and pop shops who are having a tough time, who are struggling. But my takeaway from there was, who is the PME, and do all small businesses, do most know about them? Because if they don't, they now should. Nathalie Robitaille is Executive Director at PME Montreal West Island, and she is on the line, hopefully to explain. Nathalie, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about this. The mayor says, here's all this money, and it's going to help the PME, and the PME will then help small businesses. So how exactly do small businesses get to you, and what can they get from you once they do?
I'm so glad I have an opportunity to talk about it because we want all the small businesses, all the merchants on the territory of Montreal to know us, call us, find us on our website. It's really what we're looking for. This money that was announced is actually in continuity of what we've been doing since 2015. PME Montreal Network has been founded in 2015. So really, it's available for everybody. Of course, a company has to present a business plan, some financial projection. We have a team of experts looking into it. But the beauty of it, I think, is the fact that it's very agile, it's very fast. It's not something that takes months to get. For example, a small business is applying for funds, or experts are going to look into it. And then each of our 6 organizations throughout the city, we have investment committee that are independent from us. So that's important in terms of, best practices. And they're going to look into it and they're going to approve or not. And once it's approved, the company is going to get a check within the next 2 days.
Oh, a few days.
So
that is a major change.
I can't promise it will always
understood.
be 1 or 2 days, but it's fast.
So the idea here is you act as an intermediary, if you will, between the city and these small businesses, and that expedites the process?
Absolutely. I think it's very well formulated. The city trusts that we have the right practices, and of course, we have to report back to them on an annual basis. And there's a very strict, process in making sure we, allocate the fund in a sound way, that everything is legit, and we're very strict about that, of course.
Okay.
It's public money, right? So, it does expedite the process, definitely.
Can I ask for a real-life example? So, and I know the mayor, I pointed this out, talked about mom and pop shops, and as I said, we know how tough it's been for so many. I keep talking about driving down St. Catherine Street sometimes, and never mind the big box stores, the little stores that have had to close or whatever.
Yeah.
If a business like that, a small mom and pop shop, is going through a difficult time and maybe post-pandemic, now they have a CEBA loan to pay back, they would come to you, to PME, and say, look, my business is down, so-and-so, I need help. How would it work?
Absolutely. So thank you for the question, because it allows me to emphasize the fact that we are financing companies, but we also coach them. We accompany them when things are good and when things are not that good. So let's say a small company is coming, or a small shop is coming, and they're struggling post-pandemic. We see quite a few of those. First, we're just going to look into their numbers, their plan, how are they doing things? We're field people. We're going to go and look at the shop. How can it improve? We're going to start with giving them some advice. Of course, we're going to look at the numbers. We'll agree on a plan either to, help them improve the situation, and we'll be there all along the way. It's important to say that our services are free. And then, once they meet the condition, they will have access to the money. So it really depends. It's case by case, right?
I have 2 questions, Nathalie. First one having to do with the CEBA loans, and secondly about the OQLF. So let's start with the CEBA loans. I'm wondering if you've seen a spike in small businesses needing help because those loans just came up for due, like on the 18th, I guess it was, of January.
No, not here. I haven't seen, but it doesn't mean that we won't see any in the coming, weeks or months.
Okay, so that might exacerbate the situation. And then just having to do with the OQLF, we know that they've been changing the regulations having to do with signage. Would that be a reason that a small business would come to you for some financial aid in getting their signs to be?
Or could it be a reason?
I haven't seen any of those, and I'm pretty close to our, the enterprises and the shops on our territory. I'm from the West Island, and we serve, a lot of English shops and companies. So I do hear about the OQLF quite a bit. but not specifically in terms of asking for financing. I haven't met anyone asking for financing. However, we do give them workshop or advice on how to comply or what's the minimum requirements that they need to meet in order to be, compliant to the new law. But in terms of financing, I haven't seen anything yet.
Okay, but I will ask to Natasha's question. Let's say someone is going to discover now, oh my God, it's going to cost $7,000, $8,000, whatever, for me to change my sign to be in compliance with the new rules, with the new regulations by June of next year. We're a small business. That's something we can't necessarily afford. Could that be something they could come to you with?
We would certainly look into it.
Okay.
I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be receivable, given that they would meet all the conditions.
Okay. Last thing I will ask you, as I said, for businesses, small businesses who didn't know that necessarily PME existed, although I'm sure a lot of businesses obviously do know that you were there and have reached out to you before. You mentioned support, and I guess that's as important as anything else for a lot of people in an environment like we have been in for a while. Even if it's not about money, to be able to go to like PME and say, look, this is the nature of my business. I need some advice. I need consulting, whatever.
Yeah.
You do that?
Oh, yeah, by all means. We welcome anyone to come. And really, financing is one of the tools that we have. We have so many ways. We have, let's say, experts in retail. They will go to the shop, give advice, listen, understand. Very empathetic people that come from that field, so they understand. They've been entrepreneurs themselves, most of them. So we're really there to help. And we have expertise in all fields of business management.
Okay. How do they reach out to you, by the way?
There's a website, PMEMTL.com. That's the best way because they can reach to the right, to the geographical organization. We're 6 of us. And there's a phone number they can call at any, and they will be directed.
Okay.
PME. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you, Nathalie.
Thank you.
That's Nathalie Robitaille. She's the executive director at PME Montreal West Island. And we wanted to just check in with Michel Rochette, who is president of the Quebec chapter of the Retail Council of Canada, and just kind of find out what this OQLF new changing the regulations actually means for these small businesses. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, Michel.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
So what is the deadline, first of all? What do we know about the OQLF new regulations?
Well, that's a good question because a year and a half ago when the Bill 96 was adopted, at that time everybody said, well, companies will have 3 years to comply to new regulation regarding signage and labeling. But the precise regulation was unveiled only 2 weeks ago and is under consultation now, and we will have the final version only in a month and a half from now. So that will give only less than a year and a half for companies to adapt and to modify the signage, the labeling, and all kind of regulation regarding the French.
Okay. And in terms of what's the percentage now? Is it 75, 25? That's what I have in my head.
Yeah, two-thirds, one-third, essentially. So, but it's more technical than this because there's some way of adapting, placing some words. But basically, what you can see in front of the store, two-thirds of the signage should be in French, and the rest can be in any other language. Okay,
and you heard the question I asked our last guest. Some people, we've heard some organizations already speaking out. I'm sure you may be one of them. For retailers who are thinking, you know what, this is going to be a very, very major expense for me. I'm not ready for it. I can't afford it. What happens then?
That's a good question because the silly part is that we don't have a final version of the regulation, so they don't know exactly what will be their obligation. So it's hard to plan. And the bad part is, when you have only 1 year in front of you to adapt and to change, it will cost you more than if you have 3 years to plan and to ask for some changes. So when you don't have the time, it's just easy to plan and to have a good price for any kind of changes.
Michel, I thank you so much. I hope we've helped some people out there who had those questions. Those mom and pop operations. Michel, merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, bye.